Hello and welcome to Otis Earhart Reflects, a reflection on the life of a great man that we call Dad, and that God probably calls a really good dad and father. We're going to ask the questions in an interview type format, and Dad's going to elaborate. Sometimes he's going to be funny, sometimes he's going to be serious, and tell us things as he remembers it, history as he remembers it, and life of us growing up as he remembers it. Okay, the questions aren't in any particular order. They're just simply written out kind of in a chronology, starting at the beginning. Some questions we're going to ask are obvious, and anybody could probably answer that knows him, but we're putting it on tape just for posterity so that it'll be fun to watch and you won't have to run and look up a date whenever he refers to something, so you'll know what he's talking about. Okay, I'm going to remind him to speak real loud and real clear, and we're going to start out by asking him, when and where were you born?
I was born in Oakland, Alabama, somewhere close to Oakland, on February 12th, 1917. My birthday next will be February 12th. This is December. November.
Actually, today's December 1st, 2003. All right, what was your parents' name?
My parents' name was Daddy was Leon Earhart, and my mother's name was Fleda Earhart.
Now, what was your grandparents' name?
Grandparents, I didn't know my grandparents on my daddy's side. He was an orphan, and Mr. Mullinax, R. Mullinax, got him out of the orphan's home and raised him, and he lived with him. He didn't change his name, but he lived with Mr. Mullinax the whole time till he married mother.
All right. Now, Granny LaFoy, Fleda, was your mother, maternal mother, right?
Right.
And
My daddy died, and he was a widow for a long time. We took in washings for a living. We had a pretty good living, taking in washings. And because I was little, and my brother Albert, he was smaller than me. He's 3 years younger than me, and my brother Alvin was he died when he was about 2.5 years old. He had polio, and he didn't live very long. He never did walk. My grandmother sit and held him most of the time while me and mother was, when I wasn't going to school, I was helping my mother wash clothes. We'd follow the creek, mud holes, I guess you'd call it, and get water out of the creek, quit running, and we'd just have holes of water. We'd get the stuff out of it, and we'd take it in washing.
did you wash clothes by the load or by the pound, and how much did you get paid for it?
By the piece. We would wash clothes by the piece, and mother, she washed some from the barber shop, and I had to iron about 300 towels a week.
What did you iron them with, electric iron or one you heated up on the stove?
One that you heated on the stove. It wasn't electric, no, it was just an old iron you heated on the fire.
And how much you get paid for washing and ironing a towel at the barber shop?
I don't remember, it was, things then, was cheap. And I don't know how much Mama charged for doing a towel, but it wasn't much.
What would you pay for a loaf of bread when you were that age?
We didn't buy no loaf of bread. We had flour and meal. Flour, it cost you about less than $1 or less a bag, a 24-pound bag.
Did you make your own bread at home?
I make our own bread at home.
What did y'all eat pretty much diet-wise when you were little?
nothing, just regular vegetables and what we'd raise in the garden and what people would give us. People were very lenient then. They gave us lots of stuff. When my younger brother got sick, they just piled stuff in there. And one time we had one end of the kitchen, it's nearly stacked to the wall, to the ceiling. And we had lots of stuff. I remember people used to come there and sit up with us. They don't do that now. But we had a pretty good living. And I remember we was living in where it was stacked to the wall. We went off one Sunday and come back and the house had fell off of the foundation. And a man had put it back up, it belonged to, and put it back up before we got back. And I don't know how it fell, but it did. It fell off the foundation. And he put it back up.
All right, now let's recount here your brothers and sisters and half brothers and sisters. Uncle Albert was your paternal maternal brother.
Right.
Right. He was 3 years younger than you.
Right.
And he married Irene.
Right. He married Irene and Grace. He married before I did. I was in the Navy when he got married, and he followed me to the Navy.
We're gonna get to that in a minute. Let me stay back here. When did you have any half brothers or half sisters? And who was your dad with half brothers and half sisters or whatever there?
His name was Floyd Key. He had 4 boys. Let's see, Woodrow, Darrell, Dick, and Nick. He had 4 boys. And me and Albert, my brother was dead then. Younger brother. Me and Albert and them 4 boys made 6 boys. We had a pretty good living. He worked if the mines worked 1 day a week, he got 2. He was fireboss. And he made $5.10 a shift. And we had a good living off of that. We, of course, us boys knew what work was, and we worked. We would tend fields of corn and stuff, and big garden. And anyhow, to kill beetles, and you had to pick them off with beans.
Well, if you went to the store, or the general store, whatever back then, give me an example of what $5 bill would buy?
$5 bill would buy about $15, $20 worth of stuff right now. Right then, but they wouldn't buy with $5 worth of now.
So
it won't buy much.
So it would buy 4 times now what it would. It would buy 4 times then what it would now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are any of your brothers or half brothers or whatever? Are any of them still alive?
Far as I know, half brother, one is still alive. Woodrow died. I stopped in Amarillo and saw Woodrow and his wife and his son, one of his sons. And
when you stopped in Amarillo and saw him, how long did you stay there?
Stayed until midnight that night.
Was that the only time you've seen him, and how long ago was that?
That was, I guess that was 7, 8 years ago.
Okay. But you don't know if he's still alive or yes or no?
He's dead now. All of them dead but one. And that's the youngest one. As far as I know, he's still living. But he has heart trouble.
Okay. All right. We got pretty much covered here about when you were younger and what Granny LaFoy did and how you made a living and how you lived and so forth when you were small. All right, let's move on forward here a little bit. What did you do as a teenager, say, whenever you started into high school, in 9th grade and so forth? What high school did you go to, and what did you what kind of where did you work then after school, or did you work full time and do school too? And what were some of the activities that you got to do? I know you played football for the Oakland Wildcats, but what were some of the after school things that nowadays we would call after school? For example, what did y'all do on a Friday night after you got through with work and got through with a ball game?
Friday night. One thing I remember very distinctly is the initiation into the letter club. They give us a big dose of salt and they beat us with belts and took it away, they blindfolded us and took us way out somewhere to Dickie Springs. Where it didn't have no kind of water there but salt water. Had salts in it. It made us drink a lot of
So they would beat you with a belt and then wash you with salt.
No, they didn't wash the salt, they had drinking stuff.
Oh,
Salt. S-A-L-T-S, salt, medicine,
Oh, okay.
like medicine.
Nowadays that would be called hazing. Back then it was called initiation, right?
Yeah.
Times have changed, I guess. All right. When you finished school, what position did you play on the football team?
I played halfback, and I was playing basketball, and I could run pretty fast. I could move pretty fast, and coach thought I would be a good halfback. He made me a halfback, and I played every game. The old guy that had halfback position, he didn't get to play much anymore.
Were you a starter for the team? Or did you play most of the time on the bench, or were you a starter?
I was a starter. I didn't stand on the bench much.
Did all the girls line up after the game to get your autograph, or did you care much about girls at that time?
I wasn't that popular.
You weren't that popular?
No.
Okay.
People behave better then than they do now.
In what regard? How they behave better now? I mean, better then than they do now, rather.
Well, they didn't want to kiss you and do everything else for you.
Okay. What did you do after high school? When you graduated from high school on graduation night, did you have plans for what you were going to do, or did you decide did you take the summer off and wash clothes or work in the mines, or did you say I got a game plan I'm going to start doing right now?
I worked in the mines during the strike, and they let us work, us young fellows, high school boys. They let us work in the mines, and they let us work outside and lay track. See, we weren't producing nothing, but they expect to go back to work someday, and we laid track for them. And I remember old Bulldog. He taught us how to lay track, how to lift the rails, and how to do it without killing yourself. And he sang and we'd lift by his song.
All right. Back then there was no such thing as a union in the mine. Is that correct?
No, they were trying to organize though. And finally did.
Did they ever succeed in organizing the mines while you was working in there?
Do what?
Did they ever succeed in organizing the mines while you were working there? Or was that something that came along a long time
I
after?
had already quit. You could hear dynamiting at night, and gunshots, and they cleared all the mountains around the mines there, and so they couldn't get close enough to shoot you.
Now, this is something from a historical perspective that people back then wouldn't have thought anything about, but people nowadays would be far more interested in knowing. Did you ever see, I know you didn't belong to it, but did you ever see the Ku Klux Klan or any groups like that in Alabama back in the early 1900s?
I saw some Ku Klux Klan that come to churches and give money and go out, but I didn't know who they were.
Didn't know what they were doing?
didn't know what to do. But they did give money to the church.
Why did they do that, you reckon?
I don't know.
Ease their conscience, or they were trying to get people to think good about them?
I don't know. I don't know what they did it for. I'm too little to ask them.
This is another thing too, from a social perspective for the little ones, is how were black people treated whenever you were young? And I'm saying because they were the predominant minority race of people back then. How were black people treated when you were young?
They didn't bother them. They didn't say anything to them. They didn't bother them, and did what they wanted to. They didn't do nothing mean. They just, all I remember is they came to the church and gave money and marched out.
But I mean, you never. I'm asking how black people in the community. How were black people treated? They have separate. I know they had separate colored entrance, and I know when I was, even up until the time I went to college in 1972. There in Georgia, northeast rural part of Georgia, where I went to school, I know that even then they had a colored entrance and a white entrance at the doctor's office, and nobody questioned it. Nobody said, "Hey, this is wrong." Nobody said this was not the way it's supposed to be. That was the way life was set to work and operate in that rural part of Georgia, and nobody thought about saying this is wrong.
They had separate restrooms, separate water fountains, and everything was separate from colored and white. And nobody thought nothing about it.
Now, just before I forget it, let me jump way forward here for just a second while I'm thinking of it. And this is part of the deal in the '60s. Me and Lee, or myself and Lee and Vicky, we can all recall Laverne 2, the day the 16th Street Baptist Church got bombed there in Birmingham. We've been talking about this past few weeks at the church reunion and so forth on November the 1st. But during all that time, during the 60s there, when you were working downtown, what precipitated? I remember you said one day that you went to the bank and some demonstrators outside turned your car over and burned it, or wrecked it. What was that? What happened that day?
I don't know. I don't remember that.
You said that I remember you come home one day and said you went to the bank and the demonstrators outside turned your car over or something. It was a company car. It belonged to DeVoe. And they had to, the leasing company had to claim it or write it off or do something with it. You don't recall that?
It never happened to me.
Okay, maybe it happened to somebody at work, because I remember you telling us something about that in '63. Anyway, I just want to make, before I forgot that, to cover that. All right, I know you worked in mines and so forth, and this is the favorite part of all the kids, and this is one they can't think, why in the world would you leave such a fabulous job? Tell us about being a roustabout with the carnival. because the little ones just can't imagine, why would you leave such a great job?
After I finished high school, when I joined the carnival, me and another boy. We were on a whole road trip first. I remember the door where it was, I believe we got off of the train at the door. And we was going to catch a freight train and going somewhere. And it got too fast. We was afraid to catch it. Anyway, I don't remember how we got out of there, but we got out of there on a train. And it was slow enough we could catch it. The train is not easy to catch. If they go in, you can get killed easy. And we went to Chattanooga on a hobo trip. We didn't have much money. We went in Chattanooga. We got there. We got in a soup line, and we got us something to eat. We heard about that soup line. We went up there and got something to eat. And I don't know what we did then, but we got we got in with some other guys that was going to New York and going to see a fight between, I forgot who it was. It was one of the prominent fighters. And I believe we caught a train, we come back to,
Rocky Marciano?
back to Paris, I think. Anyway, I don't know where I went to the farm and lived a little while. I went to the farm and got a job. It was clearing the creek banks, Wolf Creek banks and Lost Creek. But then when there's going to have the backwater come back up there, they're building a dam down below. Going to have backwater there that's backing up for the, it'll make a huge pond. And it'd give you 10 cents an hour. That's all we made. Except the boss man and the key was a head man, and he put all of his kinfolks in boss man places. And us, we had to use an axe and a saw. He didn't have no power saw then. They had an axe and a saw, and that's what you had. I swung an axe, so it's easier than a saw. And we cleared all that creek bank. It lasted for weeks. And I joined the Navy. I didn't know I got a job at Tuscaloosa in a machine shop. And I'm making 50 cents a day.
Well, what the kids want to hear is that, what did you do when you worked with the carnival?
Carnival. I run a merry-go-round and once I substituted some on running little cars and the swings. But I run most of the time with merry-go-round.
Now, here's the question they want to ask. Whatever possessed you to leave a lucrative and fun-filled position like running the merry-go-round at the carnival? Whatever made you want to leave that?
Well, I was young. It was getting cold, and they shut down in the cold weather. And we was in Scottsboro, and it got cold at night. And me and one of the main boys, you can go back if you want to when they open up. They hired you again, but I didn't. I think I was in the Navy, and joined the Navy then. And I rode the lines from Scottsboro to Townley. I believe it's Townley. No, it wasn't. Scottsboro to I believe I went to the farm and worked a while down there. Then I got the job at Tuscaloosa. And a little while I got decided I'd join the Navy. I joined the Navy and left. Come to Birmingham, passed the examination, and they sent me off in.
What'd you have to do to pass? What kind of exam did you have to pass to get in the Navy?
You had to pass a physical exam.
Touch your nose and be able to do 3 push-ups or what?
No, they examined you for see if you had any kind of heart trouble or any weakness or something wrong with your limbs or something. Is anything wrong with you? And there wasn't nothing wrong with me
That you know of?
that I know of.
Could you pass that same physical today?
No, too old. I remember when I was in the Navy, a lot of things happened to me when I was in the Navy. A guy wanted to borrow my watch. I had a Budor watch. He wanted to borrow it, and he said, bring it back. He went ashore, took my watch, and I ain't seen him since. He didn't come back.
You reckon he got killed?
No, he just left the Navy.
And took your watch with him?
Huh? Took the watch with him.
Well, at least he'll know what time it is wherever he goes, and every time he looks at his watch, he'll feel dishonest.
We left a guy in Stockholm, Sweden, and he never did come back to see him. He got in with a girl there, and I think he fell in love with her. He just stayed.
Was he declared AWOL?
And they won't.
Or what? Did they track him down?
No, I don't know.
What would be the penalty for being AWOL during the war? What would they do to you?
I don't know. I never found out. I never tried to find out. I know they had a trial.
Well, they might, if they executed people, you probably didn't want to find out at that
They
point.
didn't execute people.
All right, let me.
Turn out of the Navy or give them a prison sentence to brig time.
All right, let me backtrack here a minute to cover some things about Granny and parents and so forth, and then we'll move on up here to the Navy right quick. Granny was married. Granny LaFoy was married how many times?
Twice, I reckon. No, 3 times.
To Otis, to Lee Earhart, to Floyd Key, and to Henry LaFoy, right?
Right.
Okay.
All of them good men. Well, Lee Earhart and Mr. LaFoy were good men.
What did your dad die of? When he died when you were 4, right?
He died when I was about 3, I guess.
What did he die of?
Ulcerated stomach, bled to hemorrhage to death.
Okay.
He went fishing. He went hunting that day. He come in and said he lay down under a tree and went to sleep. It was cold, kind of cool. And he come in and sat on the front porch, the neighbor. And he started shaking, he chilled. He went to bed, went to the house and went to the bed, and he never did get up. He was sick about 3 weeks. People would come and sit up and they'd do things for you then. They won't do it now, though.
Yeah. All right, then she married Floyd Key, and how long was she married to him?
Several years. He worked in the mines, and of course they shut down the mine, I think. He went to the farm, had a farm. His daddy had a farm, and he went to the farm and started farming. Got a 1-horse crop. And it took his daddy, and his daddy was old, and Mama took care of him. Mama didn't care for taking care of somebody that needed help. She always wanted to help somebody.
Well, did he die, or what happened
He
there?
died while I was in the Navy.
And so your mother was widowed again while you were in the Navy, right?
Yeah, she.
How long was it before she met Grandpa LaFoy? And I remember him.
See, me and Paul Perkins went and got Mama one time from, they lived on the road going to Paris, between Jasper and Paris. It's closer to Paris. And we went to get Mama and took a truck down there and got what furniture she wanted. And Floyd Key was there. And he acted least like it, nothing happened, just let us do what we wanted to. We got stuff left. And that's the last I heard of him.
So her Floyd Key and your mama separated, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
She just packed up and left.
He was mean to her. He was mean. He was as mean as a snake.
All right. Well, that'd make more sense then. See if they departed out of there, you know. And you know, that's what I was trying to get cleared up here was what her relationship to him. Did he die while they were married, or what? There?
No, he didn't. I don't know what time he died or where he died. Last I had an account of it, he had taken care of some old man. I guess he thought he'd had some money and get his money, but he didn't.
All right. So he went ahead and died when he married. She married Grandpa LaFoy, and like I said, I remember him when I was little because he was he died, I think, when I was 6 years old, or yeah, because that was he died just a week or actually a few days before I went to the hospital. Because we were down there for the funeral. I remember I think it was a Tuesday afternoon, or a Monday afternoon, or something like that. It was rainy and cold, because it was in November, and I remember the funeral was at the Baptist church down there in Parish. And I remember that, there at the top of the hill. I remember that, and then we all went home back to Birmingham around 5 o'clock. But I remember when he died that they brought the body there to the house, and that was my first introduction to where, and that was a cultural thing. I'm saying this on where the kids will understand. That was the first time I ever experienced where people sat up with the body, if you recall that. That was a common cultural thing. They would bring the body to the house in the casket and everything, and they put a light there, and they put a guest book and so forth, and people would come by the house and pay respects and so forth, and talk and meet with the family. And then I remember, I think it was Aunt Lula, not Aunt Lula, but it was Christine and Irene or somebody else. I remember being in there late, and and we had to situate everybody all over the house to sleep, because there wasn't but 1, 2, or 3 bedrooms in Granny's house even. And we had to situate everybody to sleep because Grandpa's body was there in the dining room right by the front door. And in the deal of getting everybody situated to sleep, I remember having a discussion about who was going to sit up with the body. And I never realized until years and years and years later, well, what was the importance of sitting up with the body? Like, where was he going to go? You know, that was kind of a funny thing about our culture there in Alabama, was that big decision had to be made: who was going to sit up all night with the body? Like, why don't everybody just go to sleep? You know, Grandpa was going to be there in the morning because he was dead. And but that was a phenomenon that we know people don't do nowadays. No. They don't do that, you know, sitting up with the body all night, or even staying at the funeral home. They'd have to stay at the funeral home all night. Somebody had to be with that body 24 hours a day until it was buried. Why? Nobody can tell you. But it was just a cultural thing that people did, nobody questioned. But I remember that. And then when we had the funeral, we went back to Birmingham that Monday or Tuesday afternoon. I think it was, I was starting to get sick on the way home. I started to feel bad. And by Wednesday morning, I was already running a fever, and Mother thought I had the flu. And that Wednesday, that's when my kidneys shut down. And then my kidneys, the doctor told her if they didn't crank up by Saturday to take me to the hospital. And I remember running a high fever and laying there on the couch for 2 or 3 days, and then Saturday morning, you know, y'all took me to the hospital.
And you wouldn't let the man give you a bath?
Yeah, but I wouldn't give me a bath because I don't want nobody bathing me in no hospital. Anyway, we'll get to that later. That was, but I just remember that about Grandpa LaFoy. And I remember, and I'm helping you out here some. In this interview, I also remember that he was a big Chesterfield smoker. That was his brand.
He quit smoking.
I know, but before he did, that was his brand of cigarettes was Chesterfields, and he wouldn't smoke nothing else. But I recall sitting out on the porch with him when sometimes we would leave after church. We'd leave after Sunday school on Sundays, and just for the sake of posterity too, for the kids to realize, it was always extremely important that we went to Sunday school. Even if we went on a trip, if we went to the campgrounds for youth camp, or if we went on vacation or anything else, we went to Sunday school first, and then we might leave and go on a trip after Sunday school. So even if we went to our grandmother's house, we didn't leave at 7:30 or 8 in the morning, drive an hour to our grandmother's house. We went to Sunday school first, and then we would leave after Sunday school about 10:30 or so and drive the hour down to Granny LaFoy's house for lunch, and then we'd come back that evening.
And when Vicky was go with us, and Granny Fuller would always have mashed potatoes. And
Yeah.
Vicky didn't like them. And she, at home, she said, well, I don't like these potatoes. They taste like down yonder.
Yeah, that's what
Well, she wouldn't say who. She just said down yonder. And we knew who she meant. She meant Granny. She didn't like her mashed potato.
yeah, she wouldn't refer to potatoes except they tasted like down yonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. All right. Let's go back here to the end of high school. I know we're kind of jerking around here time-wise, but I'm just trying to cover things the best I can write them down here. When you come out of high school and so forth, did you date many girls? And if so, do you remember any of their names? Are they still alive that you know of, or that was long gone?
I dated when I was in high school, and a little while after, not long. I dated high school somebody in my class. Her name was Johnny Bagwell.
It was wait. Just for clarification, the girl's name was Johnny Bagwell, right?
Johnny Bagwell.
Okay, because it was not unusual for a girl to have a boy's name back then. Because nowadays you say I dated Johnny Bagwell, people might think you was really ahead of your time back then.
I saw her I saw her sister. I've seen her sister at reunion, high school reunion 2 or 3 times. Well, I saw back Johnny once, twice, and she didn't look like nothing. She married we called him Runt back then. He was a good-looking guy, but he treated her mean, and he got killed on the railroad track. He got drunk. He drank all the time. He drank on the railroad track. He lay down on the railroad track, a train run over.
My goodness.
And I saw her after he was dead. She was at 2 reunions, and I didn't know much to say to her.
All right. Tell us how and when did you meet Tula Mae? Now this is obviously before you went in the Navy, or right when you went in the Navy. And a corollary to that is, before we get to that point, tell us who, in relationship to her, Millard Gober was, because I know for years I would go to the cemetery there at Walker's Chapel and see Millard Gober buried there on a family plot, but I had no idea who Millard Gober was. And it wasn't until I was 22 or 23 years old that I finally asked Vicki, who is Millard Gober? And she told me that Mother was married to him at one time. Tell us what happened there.
Married to Gober, he had cancer.
How long was she married to him?
About a year. And she was really loyal to him. And of course, she wasn't going to nobody when I met her. She worked at R.V. Royals. Her and Bonnie lived together on Huntsville Road there.
Her and Bonnie shared an apartment together, and they both worked at Broyles.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's why she was also good friends with Toops and Leonard Trine.
Yeah.
Okay, because they were kin to Bonnie there. Okay. All right, who introduced you to Tula Mae?
I introduced myself.
All right, now with this, how and where how did you come in contact with her, first of all? You were dating Aunt Martha at that time?
Yeah. And I dated Martha, and it was down at, one Sunday it was down at Martha's place in Paris. And we went out to the woodshed and sat there in the sunshine to keep warm. And I saw her out there, and I went out there and started talking to her. And we dated from then on.
So you took her out to the woodshed, and you started dating.
Out to the woodshed.
She was already out at the woodshed.
She was already sitting down out there.
She was sitting out the woodshed in the sunshine, and you were actually at that time were dating Aunt Martha, right?
Right.
and you moseyed out there to see what Tula May was doing.
Yeah.
And that's why I was asking you earlier, can you remember what the first thing you said to her was?
I don't know.
Did you say like, "Hi, I'm Otis"? And she said, "What a funny name," or
I don't know.
did you say, "Hey baby, what's going on?" And she
No,
said, "Get lost," or anything, nothing like that?
No, I don't know.
Or did she smile at you when you first come out there, or did she tell you to
She always
get lost and
smiled.
go back inside?
She always smiled. I sat out there with her.
So obviously she wanted to talk to you, right?
Yeah, yes, she did.
Now what was her, how much older or younger was she than Aunt Martha?
We're about the same age. Oh,
Well, they weren't twins.
Martha was younger than her.
So you wanted to go for the older woman in the family, right?
Yes, so.
Okay. I just want to get that clarified. All right, he went for the older woman in the family. All right, and how and when and where were you married to Tula May?
I was,
What was the date?
March the 7th, 19 and, oh, I got what year?
You don't remember what date you were married? March the
I
17th,
forgot, I don't know.
and the year was
I just remember March the
1940.
7th.
Huh?
I just remember in March the 7th. It probably, 40 something.
Well, the war started in 41. Was you married before the war started?
Yeah,
How about 1939? Does that sound right?
that sounds about right.
Because it seems like I heard her say one time that y'all got married in 39. Well, how many years were you married? And that would give us a good hint there.
25 years.
If you was married 25 years, and that would be 74, back to 64 was 10, to 54 was 20. Now, how about 35 years, not 25 years?
I was married 32 years.
Okay, 30, that's better there, we're getting that clarified. 32 years. So 74, 64, 54, you was married in, that'd make you married in 1942.
42.
32, 33, 34. Try 35 years, that sound better?
That sounded better.
Because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she said y'all were married in 39.
I don't know.
How long were you married after the crash of 29?
Yeah, I wasn't married then.
Well, I know that, but I mean, was you a teenager when the stock market crashed?
I guess.
Were you still in high school?
I guess I was in high school then.
You knocking my camera here, be careful. Hang on, let me get your camera straightened up here. Okay. There we go. So, well, I think y'all were married in the neighborhood of well over 30 years. I think it was closer to 33 or 35 years, what it sounds like.
Oh, we was married 32 years.
Okay, well, that would have put you getting married somewhere around 1940 or 41. So you,
we lived in Norfolk. He was born in Miami, Florida. We moved and got transferred to Norfolk. And I remember leaving. It was a place about that high in the sidewalk. And he'd get down and up and down all the time. That was his favorite thing.
well, I remember Mother used to said that she used to put Lee in his carriage and she would walk him around the Orange Bowl.
We'd go out to eat, put Lee in the carriage, and we couldn't hardly get up and get in the place or get out of the place or get along the street. Everybody wanted to look at him. He was a pretty baby. Everybody wanted to look at him.
Don't tell him that. He might want to remember that as he gets older. All right. Now, who was what? Did you get married at church, or did you get married with a judge, or what? And who was at the wedding?
Sam Gober married us at his house.
Well, I mean, now wait a minute. Was he a licensed or ordained preacher, or was he a judge, or was he just somebody that happened to marry people for a fee here?
He was a preacher.
Okay.
He was a preacher.
All right. Just want to get that cleared up. Who was there at the wedding?
spent the night with them there. She knew them. See, he was kin to her first husband.
Yeah.
And so he didn't charge us nothing to get married. And we spent the night with them. And then we went home the next day out the old place at Gardendale, that place. You remember oh, you might not remember that place. I don't know where you was there or not. I don't believe you was. I don't believe you was born then.
Well, I wasn't married. Surely I wasn't born when y'all first got married. Since Lee and Vicky are older than me.
Well, that's right.
I'll tell you what. Let's take about 5 minutes here and get a drink of water, and then we'll come back for a few minutes, and then we'll finish up here. How about that? All right. We'll return in just a moment. Okay, we're back with more of the life and times of Otis Earhart and what it was like growing up and living in the United States when he was younger. One of the things I wanted to get him to mention too was, since we're kind of coming up on wartime here as far as chronology goes, well, let me go back for just a minute. Do you recall and I know you were younger then, but do you recall the day the stock market crashed?
I paid attention to the stock market then. I didn't know anything about it.
But what was
it was a hard time, but
what was the impact? Did it change the way y'all lived after it crashed?
No, I did just we didn't. I didn't do the stock market.
So it's kind of hard to go from poor to poor anyway, right?
Yeah, we didn't go to the store about once a week, maybe.
Did prices change after that, or do you remember?
I don't remember.
Y'all were pulling in, I guess, decent money anyway at that time. All right, when we're up to where you got married and met Tula May, and she was out sitting in the woodshed in the sunshine, and you went out and talked to her. And did you have anything to do with Aunt Martha after that? Or if when you saw Tula May, was that it from then
on? I don't
on?
think so. She got a new boyfriend.
Was that Uncle Johnny Martin?
We didn't really get involved no way. We just friends, I guess. Went out once in a while.
Well, most everybody knows what being friends is, for sure. All right, when y'all got married, I think we ascertained somewhere in the neighborhood of 1938 or 39.
Yeah.
Because I got to thinking, if you was only married for 25 years, then when she died, if you was married for 25 years, that means you got married in 49, and since Lee was born, I think, in 46. And so you had to be married by then. Either that or you was living in sin together, which we kind of ruled that out. So we got to figure that you were married before Lee was born.
I had come out of the Navy. I had come out of the Navy the first day, and that's when I got married. And I went back in the Navy when the war started. That was just 3 or 4 months when the war started. You know.
Well, did you get married between Navy shifts?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she worked at Royals, or in Bonnet. I reckon they worked there all their life, about all their life.
Yeah.
She worked there all the time. I was
yeah.
married to her.
All right. Whenever, what was the most? I'm assuming you remember December 7th, 1941, since a couple of years ago we all left. I think that was that. Let's see. I know Otis and Carol were married then. What were we down there for? When we left Lee's, we left. Oh, I know what it was. We were down there for the Perkins family reunion, and we all left and went over to. Was Otis and Carol married then? That might have been before then, because I've got the videotape of the Perkins family reunion there in Homewood. But Otis and Carol took you and me and Lee in Laverne to see Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor only came out about 2 years ago. So yeah, that was after the reunion. Anyway, we went to see Pearl Harbor, and you were awake for most of the movie, not all of it. But we figured that you probably fell asleep through the parts that you remember, since you'd already seen Pearl Harbor when it happened.
Well, I left Pearl Harbor the year that, let's see, I left Pearl Harbor with a task force of ships before it happened, and before Pearl Harbor was bombed in
December 7th.
December 7th. I think I left there in May or June,
And it happened in December.
and I missed that.
Did you remember seeing the Arizona, the USS Arizona there?
Yeah, I've been back there.
Yeah, I remember that. What do you think was probably the, from what you knew as your point of view in the Navy, what do you think the turning point in the war was?
I don't know.
What was it that made the turning point in the war? Or what was it from the guys you were on the ship with and everything? What do you recall or think everybody realized that the war was going towards the Allies' direction? In other words, things were going well for the Allies, and you knew it was going to be over soon. What do you think happened that changed all that? Maybe.
I don't know. We didn't know nothing about nothing like that. That's for higher ups.
Y'all pretty much took it easy in the South Pacific, right?
We just done what we was told to.
All right, here. Let me get my. Okay, let me get my camera readjusted there for you. Good. All right. So yeah, so you did you see any battle action, or was mostly you just mopped the deck and then took suntans, or what?
I seen I wasn't in no battles. I was around it a lot though. I remember we was anchored there, and I had duty on a signal tower there in Escondido, and one of the big American ships come in the wrong channel, and it hit the mines and sunk. He beats it, and it killed some men, and it had 5,000 soldiers and guns and things on it. That ship sunk. Of course the soldiers got off. It killed 1 or 2 men, and I tried to get them to stop. You know,
Couldn't use radios back then?
We couldn't contact them by radio. I guess they had radio silence.
Well, how was it that they come in the wrong channel? They just didn't read the map right, or didn't know which one to come in on?
I don't reckon they knew which one to come in on, because one channel didn't have no mines in it, and one channel did, and they come in the wrong channel.
Who would have been responsible for steering the boat?
I don't know.
I mean, obviously the captain didn't steer. Was it a bosun's mate, or who did that kind of work?
The skipper and his men, officers. Oh, it'd be blamed on the officers.
You were stationed at one time on the USS Philadelphia, correct?
Yeah.
How big a ship was that?
I put the command on Nashville when it was put in commission. Went on a shakedown cruise with it. Went to Guantanamo first, and went swimming there, and I got that water in my ear, and one of my ears got infected. And when I got to Stockholm, that ear points out like I don't know what, run out on a stem. And I was in the sick bay when I got to Gothenburg, and I didn't get to go ashore in Gothenburg. I did in Stockholm.
So you was in sick bay, right?
Yeah.
But you went into Stockholm.
I went to Stockholm first. Went far up the river as I could, because they had bridges every road near it. And had to have a pilot to come out and get us, because there's so many islands and waterways there. You had to know which one to get in. where you go. We went far as we could to go to the bridge, first bridge.
What was the most exciting thing you can remember about being in the Navy or about the wartime? What's the thing that stands out in your mind the most?
I guess on night maneuvers, a ship hit another ship, killed a petty officer, a chief petty officer in his bunk, and it cut the ship half in two.
Was it a torpedo or what?
Huh?
Was it a torpedo?
No, a ship hit a ship. It made the wrong turn. We were zigzagging, see, like that. It made the wrong turn, and it hit the ship.
You just cut it in half.
Cut it in half.
My goodness. Was anybody killed?
The chief petty officer, one know of one was the one that was killed.
Huh.
Hit him in his bone.
Did you see any German U-boats in the Navy when you were out at sea or anywhere?
No, I don't remember. I don't remember.
Seems like Mother said one time there was a German U-boat surfaced down there at either San Diego or when y'all was at Miami.
At Miami.
One surfaced offshore.
I guess it's at Miami.
But it went back down, but you had coast watchers back then, didn't you?
She had an apartment there. It's close to the water, and they probably surfaced there. Every morning the balloons would go over. What do you call them? Dirigibles or something.
Yeah.
They'd go over and patrol those coasts. And then you'd fly low, you know, and they'd holler at your mother and carry on. And they're looking for German blood subs then.
Yeah. Well, they still, just so you know, they still use those blimps. I mean, of course, Goodyear's got 3 or 4 or 5 of them that travel around, do the football games. Fuji has one. I think even CBN was sponsoring a blimp for a while, but they use them. They're all promotional advertising things now. You know, that's what they use them for. But I know down at the Coast Guard station in Elizabeth City, they've got a notice on their air chart that for general aviation, they warn you that they may have airships, you know, the balloons, tethered up to 3,000 feet in the air. Now, you got to realize that there's a lot of space between the ground and 3,000 feet high to be moseying along and run into a rope at 2,000, 3,000 feet. But they still use them now for drug interdiction on the coast. So they still use blimps.
They're silent. They don't make much noise.
They still use them for observations like they did in the war because they're cheap and they're silent and they can stay in the air indefinitely.
You don't take a big crew for them either.
Right. It don't take but like 2 or 3 people at the most. It takes a ground crew to hold them down, though. We know
I
that.
was stationed at Moffett Field on the West Coast.
Is that when y'all lived in San Diego?
Huh?
How long did you live in San Diego?
I don't know. It wasn't long. I had transferred to outfit that they sent you there on the receipt. They had a receiving ship, and they called it a receiving ship. It'd be a base, and they sent a bunch of men there, and they'd ship them out on ships. I was on different ships. I was on a aircraft tender, and I was on when I went to the South Pacific, I went on a Dutch transport. And when I got the South Pacific, or Estorita, they made me chauffeur for the captain of the Bastagi. That's what I went on, Bastagi. And they made me chauffeur for drive this Jeep.
So you was just a driver, right?
Yes,
Well, that's like a safe place to be if you're going to be with
Yeah.
the admiral or somebody else there.
New Mills where that was. We went, stopped there.
Yeah. Hang on, let me check my tapes and stuff here and see how far along I'm getting. Let's see, this is saying, is it saying that my battery's running out of here? Surely it's not. At least I don't think it is. Oh, it's saying my tape is running out. Alright, we'll have to change tapes here in just a minute. I think we've got about 2 minutes left on this tape. It's warned me on here. Let's see. We've already covered where that Lee came along. What, Lee was born in 46 or when?
44.
44. All right. So we know he was married at least in 1944.
Yeah.
We've established it. We've got you married back to 44, so we know he was married at least 30 years.
Well, we must have been 38 or 39 when we was married.
Or somewhere thereabouts.
Cause about 2 years before Lee was born.
Yeah. All right. Let me change tapes here, and then we'll continue on the second one. We'll be back with more of Otis Earhart remembers the past and the present and the future and everything else here in just a few moments. All right. As Arnold says, we'll be back.